Welcome. This is Simply King Podcast. It's your boy Rodney Perry King himself. And you just tuned in to the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans simply being humans. I'm having a tongue twister today. But today is a special one, a very, very special one. I have yet again another special guest joining me all the way from sunny California. I have here with me Anngelica-Marie Eshisemua, the self-care specialist. I knew I was going to get it, I knew I was going to get it eventually. Repetition is the father of learning, or the mother of learning, if you like. So join me in welcoming this lovely person to the platform. How you feeling, Anngelica?
Good. I'm feeling blessed. Just happy to be having this conversation.
Yes, I appreciate you coming on, and shout out to yet again. I believe it was Podmatch that brought us into each other's awareness. Podmatch has been giving me some hitters, man. He's been giving me some great interviews. I appreciate the platform. I got to really write y'all a letter or something. I really do. Connecting me some really dope people. But no, let's us get right into who you are. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you from?
Yeah, so born in Miami, Florida, raised in Little Haiti. Then I moved to Rochester, New York when I was 10, and then moved out to LA for college, went to USC, and I've been here ever since.
So do you ride for Wegmans as hard as most people I know from Rochester?
Wegmans is delightful. It's delightful. Like there's like mood lighting in there. Like it's just, yeah, it's nice.
I have a really, really close friend that's from Rochester, New York. And when we were in college, she used to just rave about Wegmans forever. And I used to be like, okay, well, bring me something back. Prove to me this great, grocery store is what it is. She proved it to me with some very simple shit. It was some dehydrated strawberries that were so damn good. I was like, this shit is it's like better than fruit snacks. It's like the real fruit snack. I don't know what to say. She used to bring me a pound of it back to school, and I used to be so appreciative. But no, continuing on all about you. That's an interesting, start of life. And what made you choose to go to LA to go to school?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a creative and a creator and tell stories to connect. Stories were my constant growing up because I moved around and I bounced around so much. I went to 6 different Catholic schools before college. So I went to their business and cinematic arts joint program. It's about 40 kids that go each year. And I just got to work at companies that I never, even fathomed that I'd have the ability to work at, and make films with, other talented kids at USC and just really experience and create there.
I love that. I see how that can just be an easy transition. What has your experience in LA really taught you about? How did that lead you to the work? Because I'm assuming after school and all these different spaces, what was it about, going to that school to lead you to what you kind of do now, what you specialize in doing now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going through the program and interning at the places I was at, and eventually, right out of school, which was 2019, I was, assisting on TV shows. But through this whole time, even though I thought that this was the path that I wanted to go down, there was such a disconnect for me in terms of being able to feel like I could be authentic and fully express myself and my gifts and what I knew I was capable of. And late 2019, around Thanksgiving, I discovered a benign breast tumor, a tumor and a fibroadenoma. I didn't know it was benign at the time. So, just really working through that. And it made me realize that, I wasn't really focused on myself, to realize this was happening inside my body. I was just focusing on success and achieving. So when the pandemic hit in March and our show went on pause, it made me realize that, I wanted to be in a space and help contribute to just the global healing, especially in our community, and provide a space for body, mind, and spiritual wellness, not only in providing products, but actually, educating and fostering community around that, because that is truly how we get well, is through each other.
That's hell of a bar. We get well through each other. So, in terms of like, I guess, how do you believe, because I believe self-care is it should be a subjective thing in terms of what it looks like for everyone, but how do you believe most people perceive self-care since you've started to make it your focus from that point?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question. I think, the self-care movement has been so popularized and, commercialized right now because I think it's more focused on and presented as pampering.
Yes.
Spas, candles, food, travel, luxury. All those things are, they're good. They have their place in our life, but they are temporary moments of, superficial satisfaction. They don't truly rejuvenate us. They don't truly align us in a body, mind, and spiritual way. And that's what, to me, true self-care is, and what I developed a specialty in through, really recognizing and learning that these superficial things that I gave myself to try and assuage my, my feelings of depression and anxiety, burnout, learning to build that foundation of care and make self-care a daily practice that flows out of every single action you take. That is self-care.
Damn. Because pampering, and also I don't know if there's a difference between pampering and just general hygiene, because I also see that happening too. Where it's just like, yeah, I mask and I exfoliate and, self-care. And I'm just like, damn, like, that's just good health, good, like, skin health too, And I think that, but I believe that's the reason for that. The reason why that's even a phenomenon and why that's the perception of what self-care can be for you is we really don't give ourselves enough, I don't know, moments to treat ourselves to anything a lot of times. Like I remember when I got into thinking of myself and becoming more aware of what I didn't do for myself, I realized how terrible of sleep I was getting. And that really, really affected me because it almost kind of made me feel like, well, how long has it been this way? Like, have I not been sleeping this well the whole time? And just because the world slowed down, now I can notice my body. Now I can notice like, oh, I didn't go to sleep any last night, or I was up the whole time and I remember everything. I don't remember dreams anymore. Just all these various things. And it made me very obsessive over figuring out how to sleep better. And like through most of the pandemic, at least the first year, I genuinely felt like, damn, I got to figure this out. And I tried it all. I had tea, I had like store-bought tea. I had some curated like tea from like a herbalist friend of mine. I had people tell me about, having sleep journals and creating routines and all these various things. And I kind of realized how so much of it was truly had to be kind of designed to me and like what made me feel good. And I had to figure out so much about myself. And I learned so much, and I've been able to help a lot of other people sleep because of all the things I had to try for myself. Because I was very vocal about this with my friends, and they were just like, "Hey, what do you do?" I was like, "You can buy a sleep mask. Maybe it's the lighting. Maybe you need to sleep in a different direction. Maybe you need to change your room." And that worked. All those things worked for them. And the only cure that I needed was really just leaving my corporate job, because the day I did, I slept the best I ever did. And my friend who made that tea for me, which I think the tea was great, and the tea helped me a lot. At least be able to start going to sleep, because I think that was the issue at first. It was just insomnia at first, and then just staying asleep. I just was very restless, but at least I was finally progressively getting better, at least overcoming sleep, like just the insomnia, but also just kind of coming up with a routine to just induce sleep in a way, like mind dumping with journaling and reading, and then doing a meditation. She had me do all these things. She was like, it was a very long-winded sleep routine or night routine. And I didn't understand it until I finally like asked her, was like, why? Like, it just feels like it takes me a long time to do it. I feel like it takes me like, I got to start this 2 hours before I go to bed to get all these things done. And she was like, yeah, because hopefully your body just starts to just be like, yeah, it's time to sleep. So as soon as you turn on these alpha tones, as soon as you pick up a pen to start journaling, one of those things will make you fall asleep, if anything. And I think that type of, I guess, exploration into the solution, into yourself, really aided me in, I don't know, caring more about all parts of me. And I think I already was moving towards that mindset, but I think the pandemic made me really, really mindful of what I didn't do enough of for myself, and changed my mindset around routine. That's why I'm glad you say, self-care is something that you do on a daily basis and not just a scheduled situation where, I'm going to the spa every month. I'm going to get my nails done every week. I'm going to do this all the time. But it can be so many different things that I think people take as minor things. I think that's the part that makes it into a thing that's less glamorous, because it's like, okay, all right, I meditate every day. What's so cool about that? Or I stretch every day. What's so interesting about that? How is that quote unquote self-care? But I think once in chiropractics and your therapist is telling you, when do you ever just be with yourself, then you realize how vital those things are. But that's that old chestnut. But I do have a question, like, because I think that self-care and self-love kind of usually lumped in with each other and spoken to in various ways. What would you say is the difference, or if there is a difference in those two very trendy buzzwords these days?
Yeah. And again, I think in the superficial sense, a lot of the times they're connected through outward displays of affection. Like, I love myself because I present myself in a certain way. I love myself because I do certain things. But when you really think about what love is, which is care, respect, compassion, commitment.
Oof.
You have to really think about, hey, am I committed to becoming a better person? Am I compassionate with, my flaws and setbacks, but I respect myself enough to push myself to overcome them? Those aren't glamorous things. Those are very hard things to do.
Yeah.
Self-care is hard. Self-love is hard. You're going to have to face yourself and the pain that you've gone through. And just to comment on, your whole journey with sleep, it really encapsulates what, the self-care success system is. First of all, you were doing something that was in direct contravention to your identity, to your spirit. You weren't supposed to be there. So of course, if you're forcing your body and your being during its waking hours to lend itself to something that is not for you, of course in the nighttime your body's going to be angry and going to be like, I'm not going to go to sleep and give you more energy to do this. Absolutely not. Not. What?
Yeah.
So that's why, again, in the beginnings of Omekwa, I just focused on doing product. But when I went through my own issues and my depression and figuring out that, I have bipolar 2, that was like just triggered by just the natural stressors of running a business. It made me realize, in its broadest sense, my products won't mean anything or do anything for people if they aren't consistent in using them.
Yes.
And what's keeping people from being consistent and respectful towards themselves is because they aren't aligned with and happy with what they're doing in their lives. They're not rooted in their purpose. Because, in the overall self-care success system, what we're really doing is building a foundation of care for yourself physically, which is those habits and use of herbal support; mentally, which is rewriting what harmful stories that you're telling yourself that are limiting to you, that are holding you back, that are forcing you, compelling you to, keep you in a job, keep you in a relationship, keep you in a position that is making you miserable, and spiritually really connecting you to community, the people around you who can counsel you, who can give you support, who can give you expertise and encourage you to step into your purpose. And because you're rooted in your purpose and you know what you're here to do, you have a mission that's so clear, of course you're going to take care of yourself.
Of course.
Of course, set boundaries for yourself, because you're going to be like, if I don't show up, if I don't have sleep, I'm not going to have the energy to be the best person I need to be, to serve who I need to serve, and to serve my community, the world, my family. So that's really where it all comes down to. And again, this is very heavy stuff. It's really changing your entire life. If you really want to experience self-love, you need to think about, really, what do I not love about myself and why? Who told me stories? What happened to me when I was younger that made me believe that I need to sacrifice myself, that I need to be in a certain job, make a certain amount of money to be worth it? So it's deep, deep work. And that's why I am trying to build a community and network of people who will keep you accountable, of naturopaths, those herbalists, like that friend that you have the blessing to have the connection with, who poured into you. You need support systems. And that's what self-love is. That's what self-care is being able to develop that in yourself, because your own greatness and potential is being reflected by the people you have around you.
You said so much. I appreciate that. And you taught me a new word, contravention. Oof. Let me underline that, because I think that's exactly what it was. Because before she gave me that the new blend or recipe of herbs to sleep better, for months we were just talking. For months we were literally just talking, just so she could figure out what it could be. Like, maybe you should try all these things before we even get to any type of herbal anything. And I appreciated that, because it was almost like for a good 7 months, I felt like I had two therapists, my own therapist and talking to her. And like, she just had me do these particular actionable things that really did at least make me feel a little bit better. I ain't gonna hold you. It did make me feel a little bit better. Like, I was questioning about my placement and my comfortability about where I was in an overall sense, not even just based off of the job that I was doing, but also the place that I live in. Like, should I even be here in Chicago? Should I, what is my reasoning for this? What is my reasoning for that? I started to unravel so many different things. And I think what was genuinely happening, she even had me do an exercise where I like wrote something to my like former self. And like, it was just so many different things. Because I used what I learned about myself through therapy and brought those into, those conversations we had, and kind of just really hashed certain things out. And I think I was so surprised that she like wanted to do this so frequently, but I think she was genuinely using me as, if anything, a case study in her own passion, because she was somebody who really felt moved and aligned to be this type of healer. And shout out to her, shout out to Mariah, for real. Because she eventually went to school out there in, was it Seattle, to study apopathic medicine and all those type of things. But it truly helped me in so many different ways, and I now can vocalize to so many different people. And if anything, I'm now the shining example of, because once I left in April 28th of 2021. Now people look to me to be the person of like, damn, you did that. Like, oh my God, da da da. And just based off my content now, based off how I show up online, based off how carefree that I seem, I think a lot of people already see the difference in a lot of ways. Just because I don't know, I'm a lot less serious about certain things. I think I can be more myself. I can be more playful. I can create something every day, which is a commitment that I believe is a part of my own self-care and self-love practices, because if you ask me, what do you want to do every day, or what's something that you can do every day, I want to make something that wasn't there the day before, you know. And i.e. what we're doing right now. All the words I'm speaking, I did not say yet until today to you in this format, in this dynamic, and that already makes my day a complete day. And also just maximizing those habitual routine tasks, I think truly can change a person's mindset about self-care too. I remember I did a video about routine for my Patreon, and shout out to everybody who subscribes to the Patreon. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to the Patreon. But and it was all about routine, because I think when I talk to so many of my friends about it, you tell me what the reaction has been when you've like consulted with people about their own self-care practices, is that a lot of people reject when I say routine because they immediately think of it to be this very robotic request for them to do. And it sounds like something that only works for people who are already worth $1 million and wake up in mansions every day, because those are the people who write books about The Secret and about manifestation and so on and so forth. But they're writing these books as they already have made these millions. So a lot of people see it as, as kind of just, snake oil to certain degrees. And I've had to like reframe the overall outlook of it in the presentation of routine is by just genuinely saying, like, what is it that you do for yourself in the start of your day? And a lot of people say a lot of things, and they come to realize like the first 5 things they do in the morning are to the benefit of someone else. And but you tell me, like, what have you noticed from just kind of, presenting routine as a possible addition to someone's self-care practices as a whole on a daily basis? Because I think that is a really clear way to kind of start that process, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to comment on is, again, how, a lot of these people who write books, they mention routine and, it seems like they only have the ability to do that because they're wealthy. How do you think they became wealthy?
Mm-hmm. That's what I be saying. That's what I be saying. Like, it had to start.
Books too. I've read, Grant Cardone, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Law of Success, or Rich, and they all say the same thing. It's habits, it's dedication, it's mindset. Those aren't words. So when I present that to people, or I say that to people, I think they're kind of like, oh, that makes sense. But, again, the implementation part is hard. And I even still struggle with that. And it's a learning process. But again, that's why, beneath all of that, you really need to think about what's your mindset. What in your mind is holding you back from implementing routine? Again, like you mentioned, a lot of people who you talk with, they have a gap in terms of like, well, I'm poor, I don't have that money right now. They're defining themselves and already limiting themselves by their financial status, and completely, putting that habit and that way of being out of their own, their own possibility. So again, it's a self-limiting thing in regards to how we interact with habits. But everyone has habits. They can either be good habits or they can be bad habits. Is your habit to sacrifice yourself? Is your habit to be on social media first thing in the morning, first thing at night? No one forced that upon you. No one taught you that. You picked up that habit. Because it's satisfying you in some way that's negative, or it's allowing you to lend your energy to something else because you don't feel worthy to lend that energy to yourself for some reason. Again, that's why you have to think, what thoughts do I have? What limiting thoughts do I have that are holding me back?
That's so true. Oh, that's so true. I'm perplexed to see kind of how the world kind of comes into this mindset in a real way, because I think that just like with so many different movements that start off trendy, I think the things that stay and the things that remain, people still kind of continue to see the success in them. And I think I too am a person who has had to really get out of my way of understanding how I'm blocking my own progress, because I am saying like, this is what's happening and this is why this can't happen. This is what's happening and this is why this can't happen. Instead of realizing that I'm not even trying it. Like, I'm still just trying, before I even start to do the thing and get into the point of frustration of having to do it on a daily basis, I'm already cutting it away. Like, well, will it really work? And I'm just intellectualizing every single aspect of my own spiritual and emotional and just mental, the mental aspects of just living and just being. I'm like, well, will that work? Or I don't know. Or I never met anybody, or da-da-da. And I still need money. And how can I do that if I'm stressed? How can I do that if I'm depressed? What if I don't have the energy, or I can't do that and can't do this? And it makes sense how so many things are connected. It truly does. And I don't know. I guess I really feel that more than anything, I think that we all have to, whatever makes it make sense to you, I think we all have to get to a point in time where we realize that everything that we do on a consistent basis is just the building blocks of who we are. And I don't believe in just the sole aspect of just practice makes perfect from a standpoint of, leading to perfection. But I think it gets you the results and gets you closer to your goals when you are practicing some sense of self-discipline, and it only benefits you, and I think that that's something that a lot of people, and I think due to just Western mindset and so many different things, I think we are indoctrinated to believe that all of our energy on a daily basis should be exerted to serve someone else in every single capacity. And I tell people all the time that, since doing that for myself and considering what I do for myself in the morning fills me up, so then I can take on whatever else. And so I can be okay with whatever happens with the day. It's not a feeling of like, well, damn, I started my day thinking about a million other things, had to wake up early for this job, had to do all these things, got to eat because I won't eat because of this job, because I'm so busy, and got to be in traffic, so on and so on and so forth. So if your day goes terrible, what do you have to kind of like balance that out, to balance out the flow and the amount of overall labor in various ways, either physical, emotional, or spiritual in some way, shape, or form? Because I can only imagine, especially for everyone who's worked in a corporate space, what you have to deal with in these various spaces. So convincing myself every day to get up and go in, I didn't realize how much I really didn't like myself because of that. Because it's like, and I think it was that rejection from my body, just like you said, it was truly like, because it was always comes to a point to where I would always need a day. Before we had the now great phrase of, taking a mental health day, that was essentially what I was doing at least every few months. Like, hey, I'm not coming in, calling in sick, because I'm just like, I just can't get up. I can't get out. And crazy enough, that day is usually filled with me doing a bunch of shit for myself. I'm cleaning my crib, I'm cleaning my space, I'm decluttering, I'm throwing things out, I'm thrifting, I'm going out, I'm going grocery shopping, I'm doing all these almost everything I do is grounding. Almost every single thing I do is like a grounding thing. And in some way, shape, or form, just wanting to be out in public, wanting to treat myself to a snack, wanting to do something for me. And after leaving and continuously starting my day with me in mind, and especially if you live alone, it's a lot of, you get so much space to do that. It helped me recognize where I was falling short in being more nurturing to myself in a particular aspect. And I really, really, truly enjoyed that. So what I would like to, I guess, pivot to now is to speak to some actionable, I guess, tangible things that I believe that, because I'm a big action oriented person, and maybe it's my own mentality when it comes to, I guess, the way that I believe men, specifically Black men, how we can improve and heal and be better to ourselves. Because we feel like we are, quote unquote, seen as such utility in the world, like we have to be doing something to be valuable. I think the best way to kind of, divert that labor is to really start to do actionable things that really support us and support our own well-being. And so I'm big on just actionable things. The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is a book that I think easily helped me understand that, oh, this is why certain things from a spiritual and religious context never really kind of kept me and felt grounding and felt like they could really make me feel better about myself, because I don't know, it was just a whole lot of just believing and letting it go. And it's like, I don't know, I kind of want to meet this halfway. I kind of want to do something, to really feel like whatever it is that I'm trying to get out of life or try to do is actually happening. And if anything, at least there's some placebo. At least I know for a fact I am doing these grounding things. I'm being in nature. I'm calming myself. I'm writing out what I feel. I'm expressing myself. All these very actionable things, I think, helped me be able to approach every single scenario in that way. I live here in Chicago, and one weird thing that I had to come to notice this past winter is that the whole time I've been here, I really have always complained about the snow. But I've been here for 6 years, and yet I complain about the snow every single year. And there was one particular day where I was just really crabby about it, and everyone that I spoke to were very content. They were just like, no, I like the snow, and I think it's a good thing, and it's balanced, and it's a reason for it, and all these various things. And I was like, damn, now I'm Mr. Krabs, and just now I'm this person that's just rigid about something that is just obviously we know is gonna happen. And immediately I was like, how can I be actionable about this? So I literally just put on a bunch of stuff and just like, I'm gonna just go for a walk. And I ended up vlogging the whole experience and just kind of just talking about why I did it, and hopefully it made me feel better. And it did. It really genuinely made me feel better about just the cold and about all those things. But I think that you actually, with Omekwa, is it just Omekwa, or is it Omekwa Organics? Am I making that up?
Now it's just Omekwa.
It's just
yes.
Omekwa. Was it used to be that?
It used to be Omekwa Organics, but once I realized that it really extends to community and education and growth, it just became Omekwa.
Okay. And what does Omekwa mean?
Yes, Omekwa is Nigerian. It means nature's vessel and God sent, from the Afemi tribe. And it's also my middle name. So, that's the name of the company, because the idea is that God has given us everything we need on this earth to thrive. We just need to learn how to use it.
I love that. I had a very high ass thought one time where I said that maybe we are all naturally, and they everybody in the room was high too, so they let me say this. I didn't feel like I was in a weird space to say this, but I was like, what if we are all naturally supposed to be transcendentalist, where we are supposed to be in nature and all these various things, and our connection to one to smoke weed and get drunk and all these various things that come by way of, man-made things where we're taking plants and taking this and doing things with it and fermenting it and smoking it and lighting it and whatever it is. What if it's our own way of trying our best to really truly become one with nature? And they were just like, I mean, you kind of got a point. I was like, I'm just saying, animals be getting high. You got catnip. You got, peyote and all these different things. Jaguars be taking some random plant and just be sitting back dazed on stars. Some about this, earthly experience is trying our best to make sure we utilize everything that's around because it's a purpose for it. So I feel that. I feel that. But tell me, so in terms of just because I think that herbal medicine nowadays is becoming a very large trend as well, and I think that it's dope that you are being a proponent within this space that's truly showing that you're going to be around when the trend dies, when it's really real. No, I'm still here doing the work because y'all gonna need some of this, But I feel like herbal medicine is definitely having a moment. I think TikTok is a real big proponent for that these days, where every week it's a new vitamin or herb or supplement that's going viral because it does what it's always done. We're taking ashwagandha to do this. We're taking chlorophyll water to da. It's an internal deodorant if you just a little few drops a day, that type of shit. And how have you felt when it came to, cause I'm not sure cause it could have been well into, practicing and kind of, understanding herbal medicine well before you started your company. How long has this been something that you've been practicing, you've been into, and what has been your reaction to it becoming a very worldly trend for all ages these days?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was raised off of herbs and herbal medicine. My mother, from the island, that's all she gave me. When I was sick, she gave me, aloe, like raw aloe. She gave me milk of magnesia because, all the benefits of magnesium for our body.
Big gut health around here. Get your gut health together, people.
Yeah. And fun fact, ladies, if you are, because again, I mentioned my benign breast tumor and my fibroadenoma, that those are more likely to develop, and they're very common in young women who take hormonal birth control. And I was prescribed that because I had debilitating cramps. So instead of the doctor figuring out what was missing in my diet or what nutrients I was missing that was contributing to those cramps, they just threw me on medication that led to the spiral, or at least contributed to, having those surgeries to remove those tumors. But all I needed, the main thing I was missing was magnesium. On my body, I was missing magnesium. Big Sean also told a story too that he had heart problems when he was young, and the doctor was like, "We don't know what's happening." Someone just told him, "You just need magnesium," and he's good. But I was raised off of those things, but I think right now what's missing from the discourse and the popularity with herbal medicine is that everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's body is different, and you need to be, you need consult, you need specialists to see what your body needs specifically. Because magnesium for me may not work for the other woman who is having hormonal problems. So I think, and that's what I'm really trying to foster, is create and connect a network of, holistic practitioners who have that passion and gift, like your friend that you mentioned, because not everyone is blessed enough to come across those people who can, give them advice and see what they need. So I think that's just the major thing, is that not everything's going to work for you, and you need guidance and support to get on track.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I think what's interesting is I didn't realize how much of a herbal enthusiast I was until honestly hashing it out about my sleep when it came to speaking with Mariah on a consistent basis just last year. I didn't realize, like, I've always been intrigued by certain things and because I was like, it gotta be a reason for this. There gotta be a reason why these all, like, you walk into the vitamin aisle or walk into these health food stores, like, what is all this shit? Like, what are all these things? What is it for? And how much should I be using? And I think as I got, into my mid-20s, I started to become a lot more considerate of what I was putting into my body, and also how to make certain things react differently. I'm a big proponent of like activated charcoal, and especially in moments and times where I know that there's like just I'm we're young, and people want to party and people want to drink and all these various things, and I'm just like, hey, yo, like, this shouldn't be something that has this in the because I'm like, I don't do this all the time. I think I'm always been good with moderation, but also when I do it, I don't want to feel terrible. And so I tried it out. I was like, let me try this thing that I feel like I read and kind of looked up, and I just assumed that this could work based off of what it said it did. I was like, activated charcoal kind of detoxifies this. Maybe if I take this prior to drinking, I won't have this kind of adverse effect to it. No matter how much I drink, because I feel like I've had all types of scenarios where I feel like I don't drink that much, in my opinion, but I still am very much feeling those feelings. And when I drink a lot, it's like, damn, I don't even feel hungover at all. What the fuck is going on? And knowing that my body is affected either way. And Yeah, activated charcoal been my dog because it's been I feel good, I feel normal, I felt all these different ways, and I've told and been a big proponent of it. And then what was dope about it, I felt very affirmed in what I was thinking when I kept seeing these like small boutique products that featured activated charcoal as something that you should use for this and use for that, and it's a great post hangover type of supplement or whatever it is. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I must be on to something, but continuously doing that made me open to it. So I think that's what made the conversations with her about me, possibly, having a particular tea or doing something particular with herbs into something that was very palatable to me. But I understand a lot of the people where they just don't really, they would just believe it's just grass in a bag, or something else, or just a random tea that just tastes funny to them, or just something that smells weird, or a peel that's too big, whatever it is. And I think it's unfortunate because when it comes to all these other things that have a million different, researches and labels and R&D groups, we take that with no question. If it's Tylenol, we take that without even reading, being able to spell acetaminophen. We take ibuprofen without being able to spell that correctly. We take all these things from various places and don't question. We just know that what the overall result should be, and we just trust it. And I'm not saying that you should just, blindly trust any, herbalist or any vitamin or supplement company either. But I think that truly considering what you put into your body is something that is a good thing. And like to, I guess, say that, this doesn't work shouldn't be this weird, I don't know, this weird reaction. Because it's like I think that conversation kind of came up a lot when it came to the vaccine and various things like that, where it's like, well, you put this in your body, why not put that in your body? But I think that we all have to be more mindful of what it is that we are contributing to our overall health and wellness. What would you say is, in terms of like what you've seen from, in terms of like self-care, what have you noticed to be one of the biggest differences? And how men kind of, are starting their self-care journeys versus women starting their self-care journeys, if you've noticed any differences?
I think the biggest difference is that probably men have indulged and just respected their hobbies more and the things that give them joy and creating or engaging and community too in
Yeah.
terms of a full of self-care. And then I think for women, it begins more of like introspection and like, what do I need? What do I envision for the future? And how can I get there? But we all have, masculine and feminine energies within us too. And honestly, how I'm going to begin to honor like the masculine part of me that needs self-care is just honoring like my creative hobbies and my creative work in writing and producing, right? And having that for me, because I've just been focusing on the more feminine side, which is like that introspection, that self-dialogue.
I love that. And that was what my next kind of observation that I think I've made in my own journey is that I think initially it had a lot to do with actions. And I had a really funny interaction with a friend of mine where she asked her, she went around asking her friends if you could have like somebody to sponsor your life, like a sugar daddy or sugar mama. And you can do whatever you want to do. Like this is how your life goes. Even if you don't have to really interact with them, your life is kept. What would you do every day was the question. And all the women that she asked spoke to literally like rest, to just being, to, and for lack of a better phrase, just not doing nothing, like just wanting to just be. And every man that she asked had an activity. Like they still wanted to do something. They still wanted to, if you do with anything that you want, there's still something that you still want to do, And I think that I truly believe that there is a aspect of of transferring those particular desires that I think will find a true balance in people. Because I do believe there are some men who need to lean into like this real interesting complex with labor. I think so many men find so much of their identity to be truly defined through labor. Like, how much am I doing? What am I doing? Am I doing it well enough? Well, I can't just sit around and not do nothing. Or I feel like I ain't got nothing to do. Let me go at least cut some grass. Let me go at least go see if somebody needs something to do. Let me go hoop. Let me go do some type of activity. And just being with ourselves is something that I don't think we do enough of. And also making space and room for those vulnerable moments, for the moments of us to just be. That was kind of what I eventually started to really long for after a while, after the initial first few months of feeling like I was being way more dedicated into my own self-care. And it's something that you never stop doing, obviously, but it's something that I realized like, oh no, I just kind of want to just listen to my body today and kind of figure out what it is that I need and kind of go about it. And I think it's helped me a lot not be stressed, and also taught me the value of presence. Because when things be happening, just the world, I got to the point to where I'm like, just things are happening. They're not always happening to me. And I think if you're actively choosing to do things, and especially things that bring you joy, but you want giving yourself time to be, when things happen that are negative, you almost feel bad for choosing yourself. It's like, damn, look at me. I'm over here, just doing this all day. And you got children in Africa starving. You got, baby formula that can't get found. Look at me. I need to do something else. When it's like just being and having an understanding and being able to be selectively empathetic in those moments and not allowing the world to direct your feelings, I think is necessary. I think it's really necessary for everybody. But I think that is interesting. The introspection part is interesting because I think the misconstruction, you could tell me if you notice this, I've seen so many women like online speak to the idea of like a soft life. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
So that's why it makes sense to me that, if that is a new growing trend, when giving yourself the task of really focusing in on your own self-care, you go inward first. And that involves more inactivity from a tangible context than it is this outward activity all the time. What do you think about this idea of the soft life? Because I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of weird reactions to it by way of men online, because they feel like, what do women do now? Like, women already don't do a lot now. So why is it that they need a life where they don't do anything? And it's intriguing to me. And I think it's just a lacking in particular perspective or a rigidness to societal aspect. But you tell me what you think of this new growing trend of soft life.
I think it's just a manifestation of our collective just grief of just working so much and our burnout. So that's how it's manifested. Obviously, burnout, is experienced by both sexes.
For sure.
So I that the soft life is just like a projection of what we think we want. And I say think we want because, if women lived a life where you do nothing, you're going to get bored. You're going to feel, like there's only so long you can be on vacation. There's only so long you can be in La La Land. You're going to get antsy. You're going to want to be able to contribute and be able to see the manifestations of your own work and will. So I haven't seen that conversation in the soft life presentation, but I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah,
I think life is about balance. It's about allowing yourself to be soft, but again, having the dedication and the wherewithal to know why you're alive.
Yeah. And I think, as I say for a lot of things to men, is that you're upset about this because you believe this isn't an option for you. And because that's usually what it is. Like it's usually this idea of like, no, that's something that women can do and I can never, because that would, I guess, contradict the definition of quote unquote being the man that I am. I can't be a kept person because I have to work my whole life. I can't have a soft life era because I have to work. Everyone expects me to work. Everyone expects me to serve them in some way, shape, or form, or provide or protect in some way, shape, or form. And I always kind of like make men kind of perplexed in these like group conversations and these private conversations when I ask them like, but what if you chose not to? Who do you think you will be? Because if you have a issue with it, or if you don't like it, or if that's not what you want in life, don't do it. And they be like, well, I mean, what type of man would I be? And I was like, you'll be a man who has a soft life. You'll be a man who has all these various things. And it was like, but who would want me and all these different things? And I was like, you see how you like are like bringing this outside yourself, like as if you were making choices based off of what other people are going to think about you, but you're the one who wants this. You're the one who is upset with other people having it or aspiring to have it. It's women out here who just desire the soft life and people are upset with them. They really don't have it. They at work right now. So to me, I think self-care is interesting. And I think I've tried my best to be very light-handed advocate to my friends when it comes to it, because I realized, like what you said earlier, self-love and self-care are not easy things to come into contact with once you finally realize like, oh, it's not just about pampering myself, but I also have to deal with the things that made me not so compassionate. What made me not so nurturing to myself? What makes me block or tell myself something that I don't deserve, or what that I'm not worthy of? And I think that quite often I think that that's the first thing that's needed for a lot of men is to tell them that they are worthy of, like, my guy, somebody can buy you a gift for no reason, just because gift, it doesn't have to be a reason for all these different things that you feel like you can't ask for in return. Quite often I've debated with people about just the idea of like Valentine's Day and things like that, and I'm like, so many men have bought into the idea that this is a day that's only for women, and and it's like, well, who's perpetuating this? Like, you have big business that already leans into that, but in your own personal relationships, you can create the world that you want. You can let it be known, like, hey, babe, I want a gift. I want you to show me you love me too. I'm looking forward to a surprise, because that's the energy that a lot of women will boldly let it be known, like, what are we doing, And I think when it comes to your self-care, you have to be bold about it. At least that's what I figured out. And I don't know if there's a particular, I guess, kind of like hurdle that you had to jump with when it came to your own journey, your own self-care journey, and where you are now with it. Do you feel, I guess, because you've made this a part of your purpose, do you feel, I don't know, do you feel compelled to always hold this kind of like shining example of self-care? Like, do you feel the pressure of like having to be always kind of in a particular frequency because you are the self-care specialist? So it means you got to always be good and always be straight because you're obviously taking care of yourself. Is there any pressure with that? Because I can see how it could possibly be, I guess.
There most certainly is, but I think the way I've started to alleviate that pressure is just being open and honest and authentic with people and saying, like, this work isn't easy. It's something and that you have to do every day. And especially for me, it's even harder because, again, I live with a mental illness that, prone to having depressive lows where I think very negatively. It's very hard for me to talk, to do anything, to be consistent and show up. But I think in the fact that I'm so open with that and I'm still standing in my truth and my knowledge that this system works and it is important. And even though I have so many obstacles and literally my brain is working against me every day for this, that I still show up. try.
Mm. That's so deep. Yeah, that's so deep. The last thing before we can wrap up. And I wrote this down. I'm not sure if I sent this over to you in this way, but I really started to consider my daily routine to be the practice of becoming myself in a way, and like becoming myself in a whole way, if that makes sense, in consideration to all the things that I do. And I kind of always tell people who want to build a great routine, and what I said yet again, go subscribe to the Patreon. But what I stated was just, finding what that value is that you need to really push and prepare more habits around, and then actually enact them and introduce them into your daily routine is only truly to serve you, but also to get you to a new level of wholeness. And I think that what I learned more than anything when it comes to a daily routine is that I kind of have to allow it to change with me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting to a point of feeling like, oh yeah, I figured out this little self-love thing. I'm straight. I'm doing it. And then things happen, and I'm like, hold on, what I was doing isn't enough anymore. What's going on? Like, why can't this? Like, I got my tools. I'm doing it. I'm doing the things. Why this isn't working? But what would you say is something that you've learned from being on this journey and realizing that it's also an ever-changing journey, I guess? Like, is there any particular anecdotes that you have that were eye-opening to you about, oh, I've been doing this for a while, but now I need to either do something different or let something go, whatever it is? Any particular things that you've noticed when it comes to being this far down the road in terms of your self-love journey and your self-care journey?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry if you can hear the ice cream truck in the background.
I did.
But, oh, okay. Well, never mind.
I did.
I think and I just came to this realization because, I will say, been consistent in and have had structure in my self-care since like the top of this year / late last year.
Yeah.
And I kept on hitting onto stalls or walls where I had to, again, my depressive episodes would kick in and I'd have to restart and rejump myself. And then I'd have that routine. So firstly, it was being kind with myself when life inevitably knocked me off the self-care wagon, and just knowing what I needed to do to get back on. But it was also using those opportunities to say, okay, what else is missing in my life, or what wall have I hit that I need to address and add into my routine so I can become stronger and become better. And again, for me, it was realizing that I was suppressing my true desire and purpose and passion for creating and writing and being an artist, something that I, have been suppressing for over a decade in light of only being in service to other people, basically. And that I realized that I started Omekwa from a place of that pain and lack. Even though I 100% believe in the business and what I'm doing, I feel like, a lot of the times when we're on certain paths, we will hit those walls if something is missing. Mm-hmm. So I finally, accepted and will not let myself down again in terms of suppressing that desire. And I've now incorporated, writing and figuring out what being a creative looks to me, into my overall routine. And I know this is something now because I'm addressing it and I've brought it to my conscious awareness, that I will be stable and I won't go into the episodes. Because that's really all, I realize my bipolar too, it's a tool. If I fall into an episode, it's because something's wrong. Something. It doesn't happen for no reason. I'm just more susceptible to when I reject myself. Human reject ourselves. Some of us can withstand the rejection. Some of us can withstand being in a corporate environment for decades and be okay. We're not truly great, but we're okay. Having a mental illness, I'm not resilient and I cannot withstand rejecting myself. Mm. Really what it is.
And that's a very interesting fact to accept about your overall being, you know, that I think is, I don't know, I think people make, I think that's why, you know, things like shadow work and things like really changing your interpretation of negativity is truly just a polarity that you have to understand that you may go into at times. But it's not something that should make you so not have grace for yourself as if you're this flawed individual that can do it at any point in time. That's kind of what I've come to understand. It's like, it's okay that I feel bad. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to feel those ways because it is what it is. But I think it's people who want to try to create a life where they are overriding and trying their best to decrease to the maximum capacity of that even ever occurring. You know, like, and that's just not healthy. It's just not healthy. And that's why I highly suggest for people to, you know, to tap into all things when it comes to shadow work and understanding the parts of yourself that you find to be unfavorable, because it makes you accept you in a way better way and makes you be able to manage all aspects of yourself in particular ways, because just like you said, it is a tool. And I think that everyone has to get to that particular point to where you stop saying, I talk too much and I'll be talking over people and I got to get over that. I got to stop that. And it's like, okay, maybe you should manage that. Maybe this is something that's a part of you. This is something that you need to manage. You don't need to kind of try to rid this aspect of you that's so part of who you are, but ask yourself what it is that makes you do these things, that makes you not present or makes you not pay attention or whatever it is. But, so the last portion, and we can wrap it on up, is my Send It On portion of the episode. And Send It On is a call to action segment within my podcast. I'm not sure if you can hear this background music behind our voices right now. Can you hear it?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, let me turn it up. How about now?
Okay,
a little bit. All right, but it's gonna come through in the edit. Nevertheless, how would you say, in short, how do you believe someone could start their own self-care journey? What would you say? What would you say is a great, fun, easy step?
Well, I actually created that step for y'all. I created the self-care assessment, free, quick assessment that you can find on the Omekwa website. And it truly just helps you do a personal inventory and figure out what your core self-care pillar is. If it's body, really getting in tune with your body. Is it your mind? Really getting in tune with what are the stories that you're telling yourself that may be inhibiting you? Or is it your spirit pillar? Really feeling connected to community again, connected to your purpose, and then just giving you 5 actionable steps that you can take today to start supporting and tending to that pillar.
I love this. That was great. That was like a commercial. Okay. And make sure that I'm definitely putting quick links under the description of this episode so you can get straight to not only Omekwa.com, but also the self-care assessment as well. So you can get right on to that. Good on, send it on. Call to action is real, make it real easy for you. But no, please let everyone know how they can follow you, support you in all various ways and capacities. Please let them know.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Angelica Always, 2 N's. Again, I'm shifting how I'm presenting myself in a more authentic manner, in a more creative manner. So you'll see my page change slowly. But in terms of content that I've created that I'm really proud of, my podcast, The Tea Corner. So you can go. I have 2 seasons. Season 2 is ending today, actually, and season 3 is going to be, hey, I'm stepping into and coming back to me and sharing, what I've always shared through the Tea Corner, which is just questions about life and how we go through life and helping you do that self-reflection, but just doing that through the power of story and how engaging stories are and again, how powerful stories are. So the T Corner podcast, and check out Omekwa products at www.omekwa.com.
Hey. Well, if you don't know, you should know. You can follow me at everywhere at Kings_Memoirs. Follow the podcast on IG and Facebook at Simply King Pod and the Simply King Podcast page on Facebook. As well as following my business page at Life is King on Instagram. Go check out some of the services. Go check out some of the things you can get done. I've already announced it, and I am moving and relocating to Atlanta, Georgia. So would love to connect with various creatives within that city. I'm coming back to the location of my alma mater, and connecting with a lot of beautiful people that I've met and been friends with for so long. So it's going to be hell of a homecoming, truly, and I mean that in all ways. But I appreciate everyone who's listening. As always, this is the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans simply being humans. I've been Rodney Perry, also known as King. This has been Anngelica-Marie Eshisemua. Look, you got to get it right. And this